Guys, and welcome to the Digital Agency Hacker Podcast. You know how we do it. We keep it real. Guys, I'm super pumped today because this guy that I'm welcoming to the show, I've been following for years. And to be honest, I'm going to be really real with you guys. I dedicate a lot of the success that we have had at Hite, at Hacker, at the other companies we operate to this guy right here and his principles. Guys, the leading guy in the world on customer care, on taking care of your clients, on building an uplifting service, my man, Ron Kaufman. Without any further ado, let's jump right into a conversation we had just the other day. All right, Mr. Kaufman, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I look forward to our conversation together a lot.
Yeah, brother. So you're in Singapore right now. Tell me about your work over there, specifically in Singapore these days.
Okay. So I got to Singapore 30 years ago because the nation itself was facing a bit of a crisis. All the low-cost manufacturing went to China. All the back office and call centers went to India. So the country had to reinvent itself. And that meant it had to come up the value chain. And they could see that that had to do less with inexpensive product and a lot more with high value service. And so I was one of the consultants brought in to help re-educate an entire national population of working adults who'd been educated to don't make a mistake, get it right the first time, zero defects, Six Sigma. That was the whole narrative at the time, which is perfect for a factory environment. But as any digital marketer knows, it's not ideal for a human environment. It's not ideal for a service relationship environment. So I was brought in as one of the people to help develop that curriculum. And then I became the master trainer. So my job was to train other people to be able to teach other people. And then that whole project scaled and we ended up educating about 800,000 people in the workforce in Singapore. Over that time, as you can imagine, there were a lot of other companies and government organizations in other parts of the world. And so for the next 30 years, John, I did 100 airplane flights every single year. I basically lived in hotels and airport lounges and 37,000 feet up in the air, traveling the world, becoming a global guru about customer experience and customer service.
Oh, yeah. Now, this resonates with me. As you know, I'm in Nicaragua, another third world country that's kind of evolving and going through its own problems. But we can have a whole conversation on that. But I want to leave that to the side. Now,
sure.
Anybody who's followed me and watching this knows that I love the levels of service, knows I've talked about this many times, but just for those who haven't by chance, run through me real quick, the 5 levels of service and then that hidden 6th one as well. I always like to
So here's the challenge and why I created that is that when we talk about how good is your service, we can easily talk about it from our point of view. In other words, the service provider, we did it on time. We did what we said we were going to do. We met the service level agreement. The contractual terms were complete, et cetera. That doesn't speak about it from the client's point of view. That doesn't give us a language to really appreciate what's their opinion, what's their perception, what's their experience about the service that we provided. So I came up with something called the 6 levels of service. And let's start sort of in the middle. If you do what you said you were going to do and you fulfill the conditions of satisfaction in the contract, let's call that expected. It's just normal. Huh? Now, in the old world, 30 years ago, there was a fallacy that said that if you meet expectations, you'll produce customer satisfaction. And the fallacy was that a satisfied customer would be a loyal customer. Ooh, remember those days? All right. Now, anybody in digital marketing knows you can satisfy a client does not mean they're going to stay with you and be loyal. So that level of expected, not good enough. But before we go higher to what would be good enough, let's see what's below it. If you don't fulfill expectations, if you don't do, the normal, but you do the minimum, in other words, you fulfill the contract, but the experience for the client wasn't very nice. What does that mean? You were late. You were inaccurate, and then you fixed it. Your people were not polite. You did the job, but you didn't give the explanation, so they weren't sure about it, and they had to come chase you. So that would not be expected. That would be what I call basic. So it's bare minimum. They got what you promised, but it wasn't a nice experience. If we go below that, you violated the legitimate minimum expectations. You didn't keep the service promise. And I call that level criminal. So now you got criminal, meaning you broke the promise. Basic, you delivered the bare minimum, and expected, just normal. Now, that's not where a digital marketing agency wants to be in the heart or in the mind of a customer. So let's go up. Above expected is when you serve somebody the way they like it, the way they hope for, the way they prefer. And I call that desired level of service. So for example, you probably have some clients who prefer to get everything by email, but then there's others who want to talk to you on the phone. Right. And then there's others who say, no, man, I live in WhatsApp. Come on, give it to me. Send me a text. You'll get some people who say, just stick it in the Google Sheet. And other people say, no, I don't want to get it there. I want you to give it to me in some other manner. So it's the same outcome you're providing, the same digital marketing activity you're doing on their behalf, but the way you're serving them is the way they like it. Some want a weekly review. Some want a monthly review. Some don't want a review as long as you're getting the results. Yep. So you can't say this is the way we serve and figure that everybody's going to get service the way they desire. Oh, wait a minute now. That means desire is not in your world. It's in the customer's world. Fifth level of service is called surprising. It's when you do something unexpected and they like it. Yes. So it's like getting an unexpected gift. But the challenge with that one is not everybody values the same thing.
Right.
So somebody, let's say, who values speed, you want to inform them the moment it happens. And they're going, man, I'm getting information from you in real time. That's what I like. Somebody else is going, why are you bothering me with this, man? I mean, what I want is that one end of every 2-week review, but the way I want it presented to me is the way I like to see it. And those graphs that you have and those forms that you use, it's just like, I don't understand. It's not user friendly. And then the smart digital marketing agency has said, well, that's okay. We know the data is going to be the same, but how would it work for you for us to present this? Let me show you 3 different templates that we can do this in. And let the client pick. And they're going, man, this is great. You know, those other digital marketing agencies, they were showing me the same data, but they just didn't take the time to think about how we'd like to see. Surprising. The final level is when you blow them away. It's like, oh my God, service, right? And we call that unbelievable. So here's the thing about those 6 levels of service, from criminal, basic, expected, desired, surprising, unbelievable. They're not stairs. It's not fixed. This son of a gun is an escalator always going down, which means the thing that you did that was unbelievable, it will be, but only the first time you do it. If you do it again, oh, nice surprise. You do it again, it becomes what they desire. You do it again, it becomes expected. After a while, it's basic. And if you don't do it, dude, you're a criminal. So this is called the 6 levels of service. It requires people to constantly be thinking, what can we do to take the next step, next step, next step, next step? And the reason I call my book and my brand Uplifting Service is that where is uplifting service on the 6 levels? It's not a level. It's the momentum to get from wherever you are to the next, to the next, to the next step.
And it does, and this is awesome. So, but it's not just about our customers, right? It's how we treat. I mean, this is with everyone. This is my family. This is my kids, my team. Let me ask you. So as you're talking about that escalator, right? And I think that's what's really like, it's that second tier, right? You can think about how do I impress someone, and then you got to, make it an ongoing thing.
Right.
Let me give you an example. This is something I've been personally.
Just slightly change the word impress to create value for.
Create value for.
We'll talk about that next. Like when you use the word value for someone, and we know that everybody doesn't value the same thing. So how do we think about that as a digital marketing agency? And we'll talk about that next, but go ahead. You have a question.
So in the same format, for me, it's about my team. We want to create one of the best cultures in Nicaragua for our team to work at, right? We want to create as much value. And we do a lot of things with this, but I have had that issue of like, man, is this just going to become basic? Is this just going to become the norm? Year 1, we flew our entire company to the Caribbean with their family. Last year, we took them to Costa Rica with their families. Next year, if I just do that again, what's going to happen, right? Now I got to go to Disney World. And then how do you, is it something potentially you do slower, or how do you, if you aim for that unbelievable step, how do you pick it up every time?
Okay. So then in the way you asked the question was it. You said, do you do it slower? Do you do it? And what I'm proposing here is that the it that you do, it's not about the it you do. It's about the value experience that they get. So let me explain. Yeah.
Yes.
For example, right now, ain't nobody going to Disney World.
Nobody.
You're not going to put your team on a flight going anywhere, even on a bus, because you don't want to put people at physical risk. So where are they working more than ever before? From home. Okay, now what's going on in that home environment? What might you do if you're that kind of employer who wants to do the unexpected, who wants to show that we care about, we love our team, right? We really want to create value, not only now for our team, but for that sense of the domestic environment that they're working in, because that's mom or that's dad. And you want every member of the family to go, boy, my mom and dad work for a really good company. And so if mom or dad needs to work late, or if they need quiet in the room, or take the little brother out, please, right? You want those other family members to be thinking, yeah, because, you know, he works for digital marketer hacker. I mean, you know, we got to take care of the company here. Yeah. So then what did you do in the home environment for them? What got sent in this year? Because you're not going to take them out. No, and it could be the food package. Yep. But it could also be, and I realize you've got a big team and it's always growing, but you know, every household may be a different situation. Like the guy keeps working in a room that's got a big echo on the microphone. So for that guy, you're buying the heavy blanket and the hooks to be able to hang it on the wall behind them or in front of them, so that it dulls the echo. But for somebody else, that's not the issue. For somebody else, they just got a dog. Yeah. And so you're actually having to think about, you know, it's the box of doggy treats, right? All right. And for somebody else and somebody else and somebody else and somebody else.
So how do you do that at a big, I mean, you've worked with huge companies on this, right? Is it about enabling, and obviously I don't have a relationship with every client. We have hundreds of clients, right? Is it about enabling at the very bottom a budget, or, I mean, obviously there's values you can do that doesn't have to do with money, right? But is it about enabling everyone with a specific budget to be able to serve their clients? Is it about at the company level? How have you experienced that as you scale?
Let's talk about what I call the 4 categories of value.
Okay.
And start with the understanding that different people value different things. Okay. First category of value is what I call the primary product. This is the main reason people come to digital agency hacker for service, or any digital marketing agency. And the primary product for digital marketing agency is get my rankings up, get my inbound traffic up, get my SEO fixed, you know, get my number of leads. Yeah. Give me more leads, give me more subscribers, increase my conversion rate, right? Every single one of those things you and I just said, let's call that primary product. Now that can be delivered, that can be handled through ads, that can be through uploads and thumbnails, it can be design of landing pages, it could be email campaign design, it could be lead magnet development, it could, I mean, you know better than I do, right? There's so many different things that could be done. For example, you know, a digital marketing agency working for me might say, Ron, you're pretty good on these podcasts. We should get you on 100 podcasts next year. But the podcasts that we get you on should all be of a certain ranking. Right. And we'll take care of that. Whoa, that's a very different offer of primary product than any digital marketing agency has made to me so far. They all just want to sell me ads. Right. I'm not saying ads is not a good thing, but there's innovation going on there. You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if they're really smart, then they're going to say to me, and by the way, Ron, you need to be sure that your call to action for all the listeners is developed so that it doesn't sound like you're advertising in the middle of the podcast. And let's work on the script of that. And maybe you'll be able to do a screen share at that moment and show people exactly where to go to follow you on LinkedIn, if that's the call to action. Or you're going to give them the very specific URL like ronkaufman.com/subscribe. And you're going to invite people to come and get on the newsletter because you've got so much interesting value that will be useful for them in developing their digital marketing agency. Okay. John, I just made all that up right now. Okay. And I made it up because I'm talking to a guy who's a rock star in digital agency development. That's right. But no digital marketing agency's ever come to me with that idea. That's primary product. With me?
I'm with you.
You're all competing with each other. You've all, I mean, your world of primary product, pretty damn transparent, because the moment somebody comes up with an idea, if it works, you're going to have a lot of copies. Okay. Yeah. Which is okay. Yeah. That's just the nature of the universe that you're in. Yeah. Second category of value. If everybody's got comparable, effective products, same ad rates, same ability to edit video, to make thumbnails, to write copy, to design funnels, landing page, boom. Okay, that's product. Second category, delivery systems. Delivery systems. Okay, I'm your client. How do I communicate with you? Is it easy? Is it fast? If I want to get into, work with, use our shared dashboard, is the design of that easy for me to navigate? Are you onboarding me into all of that methodology in a way where I'm going, man, I don't want to leave this digital marketing agency because it's so easy to communicate with them. It's so easy to see what's happening. And the example I gave you earlier when we were talking about the desired level, where I said, here's the monthly data. Are you a spreadsheet guy? We'll send you the spreadsheet. I'm not. You got to give it to me with color and graphs and stuff like that and show me this month against that month. I want to see it going up. Yeah, but that's my world.
Yeah.
Somebody else may say, no, actually, I'm going to block, 30 minutes every 2 weeks. And we're going to go on screen share and you guys are going to show me in real time. Well, that didn't change the product or the effectiveness of the product execution, but it sure is different on the delivery. Okay, time zones, channels, etc. Third category of value is called service mindset. And that's the one most people understand because it's the tone of voice. It's using the person's name. It's saying please and thank you. It's being polite. It's being warm-hearted. I mean, come on. That's like, let's just be nice people to each other. And yeah, most people can figure that one out. Don't be rude. The fourth category is called ongoing relationship, where does the client experience my service to them as trying to fulfill a contract, close a deal, complete the project, or is their experience of working with our agency that we are truly committed to their future? That we're always thinking ahead, not just like the next whiz bang thing we could do for you, but like the next development of you, our client, your world, your competition, your customers, your team, your identity, your outcome, your ambitions, and your fears. Like, do you really get the sense that digital marketing agency knows who you are and where you want to go and what keeps you awake at night and where your anxieties and concerns about risk are and where your appetite and your aspirations and your ambitions are? Because if everybody's got the same product and they deliver the same way and they're all nice people, that fourth category is going to win. Now, those 6 levels of service always slipping down, it's happening in all 4 categories. Oh my God, you realize now just with those 2 frameworks, you and your team could sit down at a whiteboard and go, okay, where are we right now? In each of these 4 categories, how fast is the competition moving, causing the stairs to move down? How fast are the client expectations going up, causing the stairs to slip down? Where do we need to focus our attention and our creativity and step up?
And the relationship, I mean, when I look at our success and we've grown, even in this pandemic, we've grown. I think this right here is single-handedly one of the most important factors that's helped us get there, right? Through the pandemic, reaching out to clients, like one small thing we changed. I think these companies, a lot of times they're doing really cool stuff. Like they get their birthday and they send a text, right? The company sends a text, which nobody cares about because they know it's automated. Instead, what we do is we send an automation to whoever owns the relationship. That's the automation. Then that person is required to go out and reach out to that person to give like a custom, hey, happy birthday. How's it going? I remember it's coming up soon. Right. And I feel like almost, how has the automation world, has it hindered almost this ability to care in some ways, or this ability to really build relationships, or has it enhanced it?
So let's use an example. Let's use an example right there. You said the person who, I'm not sure if you use the term owns the account, but the account
relationship manager.
Okay, the account relationship manager. But the account relationship manager isn't the one that actually does everything for that client, correct?
Not at all.
Not at all. So behind the scenes, there's somebody who actually is on the team that takes care of that client.
Correct.
And the client has no idea who that is.
Typically, no.
Okay. Give me an example of the name of one of the team members who would not be the account relationship manager, who might work on my account to do something for me.
Right. So we've got Isabella. Isabella manages the PPC accounts. She never talks to clients. She's a numbers girl. She doesn't want to talk to people, right? But she's really good at those numbers.
Well, she doesn't want to talk to people, but and now so Isabella's doing my pay-per-click, and who's my account relationship manager?
So then you have Venus that gives you all your reports and
she's the one I'm in contact with.
You know her inside and out, and vice versa, right?
Okay. So Venus, here comes my birthday, right? Yep. And Venus, of course, should be the one reaching out and say happy birthday. Da, da, da. And then completely unexpected, a few hours later, I get this little email from Isabella and says, "Dear Mr. Kaufman, my name is Isabella. We've never met, but I just want to let you know I work on your account handling pay-per-click. And in our team meeting today, we understand it's your birthday and we were all really happy about that. And so I just wanted to reach out and say happy birthday, Mr. Kaufman." I'm getting this email out of what? This is like out of the blue. Who is this person? And I don't feel a need to strike up and maintain a long-term personal relationship with Isabella. But who the heck? Oh my gosh. Next time I talk to Venus, what am I going to say? Hey, by the way, say hi and thank you to Isabella for me. Oh, you just doubled the depth of personal relationship that I have. Oh,
like that.
Oh, yeah. Like now, I'd put that in the category of service mindset. Right. It didn't change the product, didn't change the delivery, and it didn't really do anything to cultivate maybe a little bit of relationshiping, but it's too soft to really land in that category for me. I'd put it over here and just say, damn good service mindset you just demonstrated.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, next year, I don't need to hear from Isabella again. It could be Tommy. Hey, I do your graphics. I do your graphics. Right.
Interesting. So this year, obviously with the pandemic, everything's changed, right? It's gone crazy. You know, a lot of companies, we don't have the money to invest. We're all like tight, trying to survive and everything. How have you seen these levels impact the ability to maintain business and scale business, or even protect it from going under? What's the evolution been in the last 12 months with this pandemic?
Well, exactly the example that we used here is flying your team to Disney. You would have done in frothy years when you had a high margin.
Yeah.
And run lots of revenue, right? Okay, now take 10% of that cost and do something that will be emotionally meaningful for your team members. You may have to spend more time. You may have to be more sensitive, more thoughtful, more creative, more individualized. Because to tell you the truth, taking the team to Disney, it's one phone call to an outbound travel agent.
Yeah.
And they'll handle it for you.
Right.
And you can be a good boss, tick that box and spend that money. Right?
Yep.
No. Now I want to know who really cares about me. Because we're all under threat. We're under medical threat, economic threat, ecological threat, geopolitical threat. The world is in an unsettled time. And it ain't going to go away. So being human in this era, I mean, being human has always been a tenuous proposition. It's just that with science and with speed and air travel, we made it look like, we're the masters of the universe. The universe comes back and goes, let's see about that. So then when people's anxiety levels go up and the sense of unsettlement and uncertainty and unpredictability about the future, then how do I get the sense that I'm okay?
Yeah.
And that then takes us from the world of service is action to create value to the world of care is concern for future well-being. Now, let me tie these two together for you.
Yeah.
When I wrote the definition, service is taking action to create value, I ended the sentence by simply saying, for someone else. And damn, it makes sense. Okay, if it's self-service, you take action to create value for yourself. But the anchor of that was the word value. Like, what does someone value? Oh, now I can figure out what action to take. Service is taking action to create value for someone. So the definition doesn't start with the action that your digital marketing agency knows how to do and you've automated and you're really good at it. The definition of service begins with who is the someone? What do they value? Now let's figure out what actions to take and use our systems to make that happen. Okay, that's the service side of the loop, if you will. Service is action to create value for someone. Well, what makes it valuable? is if it contributes to someone's, let's use the word well-being. You made me money. You made me feel good. You gave me a sense about possibilities for the future. You understood me and commiserated with me. You helped me solve a problem I had inside my company with my systems that I didn't understand. Something that I said contributed to my well-being, I'll call that value. Okay. Now, on the other side of the loop, we could say that, well, care is concern for future well-being. Like when you think about your kids, you're not just concerned about them right now. Right. You're concerned about what happens to them in the future. True? Yes. Right. And in fact, it's true for everybody. I say that because the present moment goes boom, 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 boom. It goes into the past instantaneously. That's how time works. Time is not really linear. It's constantly moving. So if we say care is concern for well-being, well, that's too static. Care is concern for future well-being. So now I've literally created a loop, and I'm going to bring it up here on screen for you real quickly. If people can't see this, that's why I've tried to, talk it through so slowly, because you're just listening. But if you are watching this right now, you can see the particular loop that I've created. I'll just pop it up here on screen. And you tell me when you can see that, John.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay. So on the left side, services action to create value that contributes to someone's well-being. Care is concern for future well-being. Hey, we could say that service is care in action. Now, I've done a couple of things linguistically here. I'll narrate it again just in case somebody is move this away from the screen. Let me see. I'm not a great tech person. Okay. What are you seeing here? Does it say serve equals slave?
Serve equals slave.
All right. The Latin root of the word serve is slave.
Servitude.
But right, servitude, subservience. But notice what I've done with my definition is I've said, no. To be in service means to be the creator of value. That's a pretty high esteemed position from my point of view. Okay. That's why I called the book Uplifting Service. Because we're not only improving the service experience for the customer, we're not only improving our internal service with our team members, but we're uplifting the sense of dignity and pride of just being in service to one another. Now, I've done another re-articulation here. If you look at the history of the word care, it goes back to Old German, karu, which meant to grieve, or Old Norwegian, where it meant to tend and worry. Because in the old days, if you were old, ill, or wounded, you were going to die. So all they could do was worry about you as you left.
Right.
Today, that's not what we mean. When we say, what do you care about? Why should I care? How do I take good care? What we mean is to encourage, educate, enable, empower, enrich, inspire, motivate. That's what we're doing here. So boop, boop, services, care, and action. And, when you talk about future well-being, I'll give a little peek. I haven't done this on anybody else's podcast, but in my book is the whole house of uplifting service, the whole architecture for how do you do this thing? How do you get continuous improvement? What do you do with leadership? What's going on in the building blocks? And that's where my 30-year identity and professional reputation has come from. But what I've been working on now is what I call the garden of uplifting care. And that's a whole nother set that we'll talk about in maybe a year's time, John, and bring that to your audience.
Brother, this is good stuff. And I'm sitting here even going like, I feel like I mean, I've been following you now for 8 years. I think when the last book went out, I had purchased it. And I feel like I do this, but now man, we got to go deeper, like we got to go deeper. And, but I love this stuff. And it almost correlates. One of the questions we've been looking at leadership at Hite is what is true happiness? Like, how do we really impact the happiness of our people? Right. It's not Disney World. Like that's a segment of happy, but what you're talking about right now, bringing true value, is, it's another level.
Yesterday I was with the dean of the medical school here in Singapore, and he's looking at making a huge cultural shift. And he said, happiness on earth is making a difference that matters.
Happiness on earth is making a difference that matters.
You can even take out the on Earth, right? Because we're not sure. It may be the case in the galaxy.
Yeah.
But let's just say that if a human incarnated being is in the world and has this sense like, you know what, I'm making a difference that matters to someone. It could be to myself, to my family, to my community, to my team, to my client. I'm making a difference that matters. I may fall asleep exhausted, not Disneyland cotton candy happy, but I'm going to have a different sense of happiness.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. How are we serving our clients? How are we serving those around us? And how are we building better relationships? How are we building deeper loyalty? If we can do this in the digital marketing world, I mean, we can survive any type of pandemic and keep rolling.
And you're doing it, John, in your community. When you and I got on the phone here just now or on Zoom, even before we started recording, and you were talking about, well, what we're really committed to is about jobs. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? What are you doing in Nicaragua, employing people, not firing them, not cutting anybody's salary? Talk to us.
Yeah, it's actually going to lead to the next question that I've got for you, or the last question actually is, I'm big on commitments. Like, what are we truly committed to in the world that's going to make an impact? It has to be noble. It has to be something worth fighting for, right? I always give the analogy of McDonald's. So if I asked you, Ron, would you go work at McDonald's tomorrow? No, you wouldn't go do that. But if your kids were hungry, would you go? 100%. Like, you would do anything because your commitment to your kids is above any pride or anything, right? And so when we create commitment, so my commitment is to create 1,000 jobs in Nicaragua that enable people to live life to the fullest, right? And that means, and my personal commitment, that's our commitment at Hite. Personal commitment is be a leader worthy of leading 1,000 people, right? We've all seen leaders, especially in the world around us today, that are leading a lot of people that potentially are not worthy of that leadership role, right? So how do we do this?
And that phrase you use, living life to the fullest, you may want to dig into that a bit.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of like, pop psychology, motivational, live your life, make it different, yeah. What do you mean by that? Because if you're saying 1,000 jobs in Nicaragua,
yeah,
and what do you want to enable those 1,000 employed humans to be able to do?
Yeah.
Enrich the community, contribute to the family, develop the ecology, support the future of the nation. I mean, not just live life to the fullest.
Yeah.
Because some people interpret that like, I got to get the Rolls Royce, man. That'll be living to the fullest. And that's not what you mean.
And this is where happiness comes in, right? Of like really, really defining it. So one of the things we did this year because of the pandemic is now every single child at Hite is on full scholarship to go to English school education, right? Which, man, that was amazing. Like, we thought like, hey, only 60% of our people are parents, right? Is only going to affect. The other 40% were just as happy. They couldn't believe it, of like, hey, this is
not only that, but they will now feel safer getting married and having children.
It's been huge for us, right? And
Yeah, John.
It's exciting stuff. You're the only person where it's Thanksgiving Day right now when we're recording. You're the only person that my wife would let me at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day step away and do
What's
a podcast without even questioning it. Karen is my wife's name.
Karen, muchas gracias.
There you go.
Happy Thanksgiving. I hope that when you hear the recording of this, that you understand that John and I are like friends in the ethers, who finally connected here. And the spirit of our call is what it is because of people like you.
Yep.
In John's life, my wife, Jen, in my life, and what it enables us to do to contribute to the well-being of other people's lives. So thank you.
100% right. RonKaufman.com. Everyone has to go there. The book, Uplifting Service, it's amazing. You have keynotes on you. You have a ton of place people can find your content. And so
that's right. That's right.
I truly. Is there a favorite social media that you like people following you at?
LinkedIn tends to be where our client base is. If you go and you follow me there, that'd be great. If you're a digital marketer and you're listening to this, you guys have tools and capabilities to crawl me and check me out, and send me an email, ron@ronkaufman.com, and give me some advice. In other words, let's make this I'm happy to contribute value to you. If you see somebody go, hey, I think to help Ron's future well-being and help him fulfill his commitment to enabling well-being in the world with a garden of care and a house of service culture, then Ron, I got this idea. Have you thought about this? I think you should do that. Fix this on your website. I saw this with your SEO, Come on, digital marketers. I look forward to being in contact with you.
I love it. One last question before we go, Ron, if that's cool.
Okay.
I always ask, like, what are you committed to over the next 20 years? What's your epitome goal right now that you want to accomplish?
Thank you. First of all, how much I appreciate the question. Okay. I would say that when I look at my life, I can't think of someone who has been more graciously blessed and enabled and privileged. I mean, I had a grandmother who taught kindergarten for 40 years, and I was like her in-house kindergarten. Okay. My mom taught high school, but what she taught was values clarification. I went to an Ivy League college, but I spent 2 years of that in Europe studying history. I was there when Ultimate Frisbee was created, and I'm one of the guys that took it all over the world. I got entered into the Ultimate Frisbee Hall of Fame because I took Frisbee all over the place. You didn't even know this stuff about me, right? Then the little country of Singapore invites me here 30 years ago, and I get to contribute to the development of an entire nation. The world of customer service grows over 30 years. I get to contribute to it as an authentic intellectual property designer. I mean, OMG, right? And here I sit now. I'm a scuba diver, and I've done 2,000 dives. That's how I met my wife. I mean, I couldn't be more grateful. And we've got a 24-year-old daughter who's committed to social justice, and she's applying to law school right now, and she's an advocate for humanity. I mean, oh my gosh, right? So what's next? I would say that the caliber and the quality of mentoring that I've been privileged to experience, and I've invested a lot of money over the years for a lot of people to teach me a lot of things, and not just teach me like, here, learn this, but like actually care about me, actually watch the way I was learning and intervene and coach me and do really, good quality intellectual, philosophical, biological, historical, cultural education. I feel a sense of responsibility to take that understanding, which I think people could hear woven through our whole conversation about what is it to be human? What is it to be human? I'm not talking about some pop dogma version. What is it to be human? It's not very well taught in school right now. And I think I'm the kind of educator who I can do with that, like I did with service, because that's an abstract phenomenon. But I was able to chunk it down so that not only could people see how do I uplift and improve my service, but how do I build a culture of service? Here, let me show you how I wrote a book. I can give you all the technology, all the videos, et cetera. I want to do that same thing now with how do I actually live a life that contributes to well-being? How do I serve better, care more, and love life? And when we say love life, it's what you and I were talking about, by contributing to make a difference that really matters. So that's what I'm up to. And it'll take a couple decades. And, when this particular run is over, like everybody's is, because we're mortal, if I can leave behind a legacy of intellectual property that's available and accessible to the world, where somebody else in Nicaragua or somewhere else wants to go learn about that, it's right there waiting for you.
Serve better, care more, love life. I love it, brother. I love it. I thank you for your time and your energy, dude. You're incredible. I love it. It's been a pleasure.
Happy Thanksgiving, John. To all your listeners out there, thank you for the service that you provide to other people in the world and for contributing to help make your community, your team, your clients, our world a better place.
Awesome.